Are we on?
Mic's on? Yeah. Okay. Hello. Thank you for being here. My name is Bojan. This is Sloba. We wanted to kind of use this session to show you some elements or changes that are happening and how the AI is defining the new routes. So wanted to start from some simple examples, something maybe we didn't do recently, but we wanted to start from the option. Do we have a presentation on? Yep, okay. So we wanted to start really from ourselves, example from ourselves. So what we did before is we ran our names through different AI models, ChatGPT, Gemini, to see like what will come. Now we come from a different backgrounds, and the first is me. So, and it was really interesting for me because one came with nothing, like no applicable knowledge about me in terms like. I gave it very specific prompt in terms like didn't want to go too much, my name, last name, country where I live, and the city where I live in. That was the prompt, to be honest. Same for Sloba. Mine was really empty, didn't know. The one came absolutely with nothing, not understanding or asking for much more information. Can you give me company name? So it was asking more information in order to kind of depict me from everybody. Germany was a bit different. It found me, but it found me together with the same guy. It's some politician from a country next by, not really a good example. And then he was trying to kind of depict who am I trying to find. And honestly, like I've been working for 25 plus years, and one came with no story and the other one came with half story. So in a way, it was quite interesting for me. Then we ran Sloba, and Sloba is an engineer. He is, and both of those machines came with a very structured response and very kind of aligned in those terms. Now, I'm not saying that I prefer engineers in a way, but what it does prefer, it prefers this engineered breadcrumbs that you can leave on your. Now I'm a brand guy. My work really lives in relationships with clients, with campaigns that I do with clients, and Sloba is the founder and the CEO of the AI development company. A very structured company, very structured in terms of presence in Belgrade, in Dubai, conferences. So all of the breadcrumbs kind of write the same story all the time. And in a way, for us, this was really like the beginning of, okay, we want to show you like how this really works.
Because we really worked on this, so I can be visible to the AI and to all LLMs probably, because as Bojan said, the most important thing is presence, structure, and for LLMs and AI to be able to define that you're actually a real person, real company, and to connect you with it. So basically, here we defined what are the differences between the old ways and the new way of search, because the theme of this panel is if AI can recommend you, what happens when it doesn't. So the old way was actually you go to the Google, you enter the term of your search, get output, you click on the output, so you basically get a list of links. You enter in every single link to find the specific thing you're looking for, and that is actually moving the traffic to the website of the person who is ranked well in Google. AI and LLMs do this thing really, really different, because if you actually go to LLM and ask him a question, AI gives you the answer. After the answer, it will give you a couple of recommendations, for example, 3 or 5 depending on LLM, and it will, beside that recommendation, give you a small description of the company to pursue you to go to that website. but there's always that maybe the user will go or will not. So this new way of search is actually making the traffic to the website harder to achieve. And we defined here one really important question, like how many of you put real money into SEO in last 3 years? Probably most of the companies. But SEO isn't dead. That's really important to know. LLM and AI search are just another way to find someone or something, but in terms of SEO, it is also important part to understand that it has its usage still.
In terms of, just to kind of have additional comment on this, so the traditional SEO that kind of belongs to the browser settings, it's as important as it was, because it just compounds now what else. The difference is in, also my opinion, is the routes that are now. The new route is through AI. And whether or not your website will be one of the proposals also depends on a whole lot of things. Also the traditional SEO that plays its role, but if we see the results, it will always be, as in the case of me and Slobas, he has much more suitable breadcrumbs or informations that are present and that don't belong directly to his website, or and they belong to the authorities of the website that are kind of aligning information between his website and what the third-party source is saying. So in a way, that belongs to the, let's say, pillar of authenticity. Is your information distributed through internet in a same, does it speak the same story? If it's contradicting too much, it will be kind of seen as a fake, or it will not be taken. But if it goes consistently through authority links, this will be the first choice of the LLMs in those terms. And it will always be something which is from a third-party source, as we see.
But this happened recently because Google at some point saw the risk of losing the competition with LLMs, and he literally forbidden for LLMs to search more than 10 links on Google. And then LLM like ChatGPT, Gemini is using actually the Google data, so they don't have a problem. But other LLMs had the problem to access the information, and based on that, they needed to develop a different system to access those data and informations and determine if something is real or it's fake.
Yeah, we can go maybe to the point where if we see now, so the roots are not changed. I mean, even the traditional SEO went through so many changes, and the evaluation elements that Google is using in order to rank specific websites or results. And now we have additional layer of AI in terms that he's depicting not only the traditional, but he wants also confirmation from the third-party source and the authority in terms like whether or not it will be recommended. Then we have additional layers of the geospecifics. We have additional layers of language elements. So in a way, and then the differences in between the LLM models that all kind of depend on a different assets. What Sloba just mentioned, with Google and Gemini, you will be able, and in my case, Gemini did find some information about me, as probably the links that it requires and has the ability to check are much more wider than on other models. In that sense, it kind of makes for the marketeers even, I would say, more complex environment. So it's not only you have to think about the LLMs as general category, you need to understand which one belongs to one and who has better assets and who can also who utilize better assets in that sense. And I think we came to the one conclusion that today's present, I think the biggest competition is not maybe your first brand in those terms, but it's really the invisibility in digital. And even sometimes if the information, we had two options that you are not, that nothing is there, in my case, like for ChatGPT, or the half information that's there is really presented with a high confidence from the LLM. And it can also lead into some kind of mistakes.
But then we have a risk of spreading the different kind of information all over the internet. In that case, LLM will always decide not to suggest you at all, because it's way better and easier to have nothing than to have a different kind of information all over the web, because at that moment he will crash. Because no matter how good AI is at this moment, it's still not able to determine and define what are the reasonable informations, what are the fake informations, and what it can actually use. Because if he accesses the internet, he scraps everything. And when he scraps everything, he sees differences, and in that moment he'll say, okay, I will not touch this.
So, if there are three things that we would pick kind of how it can trust you, it's these three pillars, like the pillar of the clarity, the authenticity, and the consistency. And if we speak about the pillar of clarity, is it obvious what you do as a brand or as a company? And in terms how that clearly is within the category that you belong is presented. Then the second one is the authority. I'll let Sloba because it's on our links, but for the clarity, it's also important that the other sources have unique kind of story about you, and it doesn't kind of converge what you are having, because it's going to be, as Sloba said, it's going to crash and it's going to do different things. When it comes to authority, maybe...
When we say authority, we mean actually, does your brand become visible in all areas? For example, YouTube videos as podcasts, as PRs, does it have a LinkedIn page? All possible ways to find you and access to determine if you are real authority.
And it will always pick the third-party sources. So we will have one example, which is kind of from the category we all belong to. But in terms of the consistency, it will also evaluate, and this is maybe a good thing. It's more judgment tool, and it judges the information what it finds, then it really just searches and shows. So the judgment criteria is additional layer of how it will kind of pick or not pick your brand in a specific recommendation or on a specific question that the user is asking. And consistency in terms if he's finding a lot of these sources that are consistent with the story, then you have a kind of the ability to be within the results. Let's take like from the examples that we say, and then like the two companies that one is having a fantastic website, all SEO very nicely sorted out, and but there is not a communication from a third-party sources, or as we say simply, nobody's talking about that brand. And the second one, which might not have such a nice infrastructure in terms of the website, but it's very alive on podcasts. It has a lot of communities speaking about that brand, and it kind of connects different sources also for the same topic. The LLMs will always take as a result the phase 2 or the company 2, which relies on a community and the breadcrumbs.
And why can we say that at this moment AI is actually more reliable than Google search? That's my opinion, I have to say, because LLM is actually trying to find the reasonable and real information. And you can always pay SEO, Google Ads, and things like that in order to increase any brand. Bojan is a specialist for that. Trust me, when we say you can literally pay SEO and your website will be launched. But in terms of AI, if you try to find some specific terms, it will always give you the most popular things. So it's not always the truth, but it finds the data, it finds the information that is visible to the internet, to the regular person, it's on forums, podcasts. The person that is brand ambassador is making interviews, and it will define that brand as reliable and show it.
I know we are speaking a lot on a generic level. We will have, and we kind of wanted to make this interactive and to have as much questions from your side in terms like what are you really into or interested for when it comes in that relation of the traditional SEO and now with the LLM models being one of the major pets of how customers are finding brands and picking the brands that they want to have something or service or product. So we in terms of the formats used, I don't want to say that there is, it's so different that you just need to do this couple of things a day. The work is just compounding. This is just the thing that you need to understand. So it's not like now it's different and now you do this. Even with the SEO, it was so ever-changing that we came like 10 years ago from, and they are constantly changing the evaluation criteria, which link will be ranked first. Now, as Sloba said, with the change that Google has made, the first results are the AI results, and then you have the sponsors results, and then you have the organic. So it becomes really in a priority. It's kind of clear that the AI searches and the AI path will take the dominance in the way, because just that simplicity of giving the user to correct himself with a search term that, or with the search that he said, if he didn't give the exact results and then being prompted in a case like, who is that one? Like, give me something more about him. Give me, what are you interested for so I can give you more info on that, is kind of changing the way how people are searching. So it's becoming more close to the real search intent of the person that's handling the search and typing the search criteria. Okay, this is just to show you, we ran it honestly. I didn't want, from the respect of the company, to give the other results that are recommended, but in a way it does really confirm that you are in the right place, or we are all in the right place on the right expo. So we ran the query for two, like it's really like maybe like what is the best fintech forex expo in the world, and in a way it shows really like how it picks up.
Let me pause you for.
Yeah, please.
If you don't believe us, just check.
yeah, you can check. Of course, everything that we, because we wanted to kind of make it as true as possible. So as you see, like how he asked me a couple of things, like because the best expo depends entirely on whether your focus is a retail FX trading, institutional broker to broker network. So it gives you really it leads you into, okay, what's your thing? If you are speaking about that, then the heavyweights of this industry is the IFX Expo, you know the other ones, I'm sure, but they will become. And if we compare it on the other LLM models, they are very kind of stable. So the information that this brand is having and the communication coming and confirmations in terms of the authority from the third-party sources is defining the results of this query. It will be like this in, I think, probably any language or any geo, because it's simple. Now, if we put it in a scale of a brokerage service and the saturation of that market and the number of competitors and the different geos, and that, it becomes much more complex. So you cannot take anything like this is the rule, but you need really to think and work around it and see maybe how to become relevant for the IE as a brand individual or however you see
in order to understand why does he ask these questions, LLM is basically NLP, natural language processing, and it wants a conversation with you in order to give you better results. If he has, for example, Bojan asked him, what is the best fintech forex expo in the world? And he started asking a couple of questions in order to give you the right answer. That's the moment when I say it scraps the web. And for this category, he probably has a couple of them. And in order to define what Bojan actually wants, to give him the right answer, he makes sub-questions and give him the answer.
And you will notice that in none of those, let's say, queries, he will first try to not utilize any of your personal or company sources. So not your website, not your any connected company if he knows that it's connected, but only kind of relying himself on a third-party sources because he thinks
he's not actually only relying on third parties because
he will try first.
He will try to combine that because, for example, if you have a blog on your website, probably all of you do have, you're writing about some terms that people trying to find you Google or search. And when you go into those terms, you are writing blogs in order to rank better in Google. But how does LLM actually works? As I explained, he tries to define what exactly you are trying to find. And if you have a structured blog based on answer engineering optimization, you will give him the answers for the questions or the queries he is trying to, when the user is trying to access. That way, most certainly LLM will suggest you. But he is combining that with other things like interviews, podcasts, and everything else to define that you are a real company, not a fake one.
So in a way, what it confirms that everything that we did until now in terms of the SEO still stands, still it's very important. Now we have additional layer to address and the ability to kind of, I think it's also an opportunity to do a specific things and to find yourselves into the results of the models. So, we said what to do. Yeah.
What to do.
So, we made some bullet points. So, elements, get seated off your website. So, as much as possible. So, be proactive in joining and making your company visible in different podcasts, on different, on third-party sources, besides first kind of handling your own and doing everything properly on your own infrastructure.
Then you have to make facts identical everywhere. As I already said, he tries to access different websites, different parts of the internet to define that and determine that you are who you are. And based on that, he will say, for example, this company actually exists and the content it is showing on the internet is actually correct.
Third part we selected, and we were thinking about us as an industry, like in terms like put named humans forward. It works well, really. Experts, opinions, and ability to kind of verify influences the authority of the source that he selects, and that way it kind of increases the possibility or the opportunity to show you within results. We've been working together.
It's quite simple to understand. For example, no one's talking about Apple when Steve Jobs was alive. Now everybody's talking about Elon Musk because he is the person in front of Tesla, in front of SpaceX, and all the companies that are visible, and great companies actually have a strong figure in front of them representing them. That's why the third part is really important. And yeah, we were working together on something really
yeah, we wanted important to combine the AI development and the ability from Slova's company in terms to kind of influence a lot of content and in terms of being friendly for AI and for the SEO, and the ability on the agency side to kind of distribute information within the third-party sources, and that combination kind of is now living as a product in making, I would say. Yeah, to be able to kind of connect all, because we understand that traditional SEO is important. You need to do properly every day. You need to be constantly working on that. So more content, more blogs, more depth of your website and things. And then the additional layer of let's build also the third party and the authority of that. And we think that that would be the winning combination for the brands to be recommended within the LLMs. So these are the three elements: clarity, authority, consistency, or the machine will write the story about you, as it did for me. But in a way, we kind of want you to focus on these three elements as the main ones. And I think we came to the point now where it would be great that if we have any questions that, or even better, discussion, if you want to challenge something, if you want to understand something more. Yes, please. Yeah, just wait for the mic so everybody can.
Maybe we just do all the right things to be visible in every AI tool that's out there, but we are a small company. Does this affect the result for ChatGPT? I mean, if we are a small company or a few years in the market, maybe the competitors are larger, maybe they do the same things, but does the chat choose bigger companies or just?
It depends. If you start before them, you can make an authority in terms of LLMs to notice you. If the big companies move to LLM as well, it will be hard to compete with them, but you have a chance if you do all three things we said every day and consistent. So it is not the main factor, but it does have the, let's say, influence.
Definitely. I mean, the domain, how old is the domain itself has the influence. How, let's say, how many connections. If you are a new brand and starting from scratch, then following these elements and working will get you probably, and it will be coming from your area, from your geo, widespreading as you grow, I would say. Of course, some things can change. Some big things that happen that connects you to that can change those things. You know, like if nobody know you, but you in 1 year you are the most prominent company in your country, you get the accolades. This will be third-party authorities that will speak about you. That will definitely contribute to how fast you can find yourself. In a traditional SEO, that question would be if somebody would like to kind of, you know, like if it's a product-oriented company belonging to the retail, then can you imagine like you being new and then you start competing with Amazon, you know, like, so it's almost impossible, you know. So there is always, when you check some things, you will find keyword difficulty, like how hard it is to rank for this keyword. Most of them belong to these giants, you know, like Amazon, because the depth of their websites, how old they are, how present, how widespread it, how connected, how many links, that all influences a lot. But that's retail. We are not, you know, like, which is much easier. When you come to your own category, then to understand first the environment, how it becomes, the opportunities are there. So you can do a lot, for instance, in a niche category as a new brand than in a retail category as a new brand. That's for sure.
Thank you. And if I may, another question.
Of course.
How can we protect our company reputation in terms of we can fit the LLM to create a story for us, but maybe some competitors use some wrong strategies to feed other data that will harm us. If there is a way.
Can I ask specifically like what your company does, like to be more?
No,
Okay. Yeah, but well, in our industry there is a lot really that you need to fight with, you know, like, and the funnel itself is not so easy, you know, like at least brokerage services. It's not a simple funnel buying a collar for your dog. It's a one-way funnel. It ends with shopping. With us, it's a long funnel. It's a cycle that can, from the moment the ad being seen to the moment the registration is done, it can pass even 30, 40, 60 days, you know, like before. Then you have a middle consideration phase where the people are watching comparison sites to understand, to get the trust, then the authority. So it's a lot of things can influence, and we have a lot of obstacles. We have comparison sites that put the wrong information, so you need to chase them, you need to go there, correct those info, because everything influences when somebody types your name and the information that it will get. So in a way, you need to kind of really identify your market, the positioning that you have, the competitors, and then try to build a strategy behind it, or if you have an issue, a problem, you need to see how to kind of, with the reputation, that needs to be kind of worked on. There are ways how to work on the reputation. We have a whole service called Reputation Management that, you know, understands, picks all your data from the internet, works on that, changes what is possible, you know, so.
Okay, thank you very much.
I'm not saying that this can kind of, if you have something, the consequences are there, that's for sure, but there is a time and with the ability to change information that are present on the internet for the company.
Hello everyone, thank you for the wonderful presentation. My name is Nadia, I'm representing PR Pillar, and we are powered by Simodity. This is the software which we developed specifically to track brokers' footprint in AI and LLMs. And I wanted to ask you the question, so in order to understand the footprint, like the general information about how a brand looks in different LLMs, you gotta pull out the data, right, from the internet. So the challenge that we faced like half year back was how to or where to get the prompts from. So in order then not to be 100% like created by AI or created by us, by human beings, but actually to get the prompts that traders are using. So what is your solution about that? Can you share that?
I'm not sure we can share that because we developed a tool that is covering that, and you know, if we share it, we'll probably give the competitors.
In a way, but I can get you close to the thinking behind in terms of like the prompts or the search intent from the person looking is always the priority, at least for me. It's like identifying how somebody would think about the need or the issue that he's trying to satisfy. It really goes back to the basics of, you know, every business in the world serves some kind of a segment, customer segment, and it can serve different ones with the different value propositions. But the point is that you are satisfying some specific need or issue. And that's really the, let's say, formula how to think about the prompts, you know? Because the people will not change what they need, whether they are asking on a browser or on AI. Their need, their issue is always the priority, number one. And we are just the servicing in between that are trying to do something. So I don't know if I helped you, but it's just the way of...
Let's help a little. Just focus on why, how, and questions that...
We developed, we know the solution. I was like, we basically tried to use like different already existing like Ahrefs or something like that, but we understood that it doesn't fit like all of this. So we created our own exactly in-house like approach to this, but just...
I'll give you the example like of the prompts that I saw within our industry, like checking the scandals, checking the trust is a big thing in our industry, you know, like so you cannot believe how many prompts will be to China pick some bad thing or to verify if this is true or not, or whether or not. So it's being legit and heavily regulated industry. It really kind of defines the thinking behind the user.
Yeah, absolutely aligned. And this is just in English, right? If you go deeper to the geo, to the different languages, it's
cultural differences, everything else.
You just open the Pandora box and then when all the game is started.
Yeah.
So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andrzej Mikulczyk here from Czech FinTech Association. I would like to ask, to me it seems that the traditional SEO and optimization for LLM models are not that different in the essence.
Small.
What would you tell is the number one differentiator? Because to me it seems like, okay, back then with traditional SEO you also needed to be cited on other sites than yours. You also needed to build credibility. You also needed to communicate clearly. So what, in your opinion, is the number one changing factor that companies should focus on to be visible in LLMs? That's different than SEO optimization.
But there are differences. Even if, for instance, let me be as simple as possible. So you have an optimized page that ranks for a specific term in browser search results. But there is no mention of that brand in any of the LLM models. And now, we need to think about the prompts in terms. Even in the browser, if you ask the question with why, what, you will get the results based on the keywords ranking. In LLM, it's not. When you ask the question, as Sloba said, he's trying to answer your question. He's trying, so the different, let's say, variations of data he will take for the judgment, whether or not his answer is going to be. That's why we are putting a bit of a more, let's say, importance on the authority of being cited off your website. Because he's going to, everybody's trying to, even the Google as a browser, he's really trying to give you the best possible result for the intent that you are aiming for. But the way of the search results are coming into the browsers there is no thinking element or the judging element that the
It's like you go to your friend and ask him, okay, I have a problem with this. How can I, do you have someone to solve me that problem? The LLM works the same way, basically, because it's natural language processing.
And for the traditional, all the elements are there, but it's much more on the search terms. Because as you remember, search terms are the basics of the traditional SEO. Which keywords, which long phrases, whatever, there is specific search volume behind them, in specific geo, monthly, and then you're trying to compete for that specific search volume. What does it mean? So for that term, 100 times a month, that term is typed in. Like that's exact information. As possible as it is, it's an exact information. And then we are competing in traditional, how many of those search volumes we can gain on us. And then it depends how high you are in the search results of the browsers. Now things are a bit different. Somebody who's been really like a monster in those traditional LLM, putting a whole focus on keywords alignment, on the indexing, and in LLM, it's not guaranteed that he will get that he will be the one who is prompted. It's not an easy answer, I know, and it's not a simple thing. We are trying just to kind of all together kind of get a better knowledge of what's in. And at the end, what I see, like, there's always somebody, like, you see, Germany has the access to everything that Google has. You would say that's quite an advantage, yeah? If you don't give that, and it's a 95% of traffic of the browser that is used in the world, it belongs to Google, 95%. So giving that to one LLM model is quite the advantage. But then on the other thing, how they built it, Cloud or Anthropic probably works better in that. You understand? So it's a game, it's a fight there. So they are trying to make them better for us in terms like what results we are gaining. But in a way, it stays always. If you just take blindly what he says, you will 90% be in a wrong position. You know, you need to verify, you need to check, you need to kind of, even with the LMs. But it's a world we are living in. Any more questions? We need to close it. Okay, I saw that. Thank you so much. You've been wonderful.
Guys.